SpongeBob SquarePants never set out to be a cautionary tale, but in between the talking sea stars and the karate-chopping squirrels, it portrayed one of the most chilling episodes about neglect ever shown. On the surface, Season 7's episode A Pal for Gary is a simple story. SpongeBob feels bad for leaving Gary alone all day, so he gets him a friend. Cute, right? Wrong. So wrong. This episode is a dramatic irony and a genuinely chilling look at how good intentions can pave a road straight to disaster, all because of one simple, terrifying thing: neglect. Not malicious neglect, not intentional abuse, but the quieter, more insidious neglect that comes from being too wrapped up in your own feelings to see the suffering of someone you claim to love. The episode kicks off in a way that's pure, classic SpongeBob. He's feeding Gary his organic snail food, being his usual doting pet owner self. It's all very sweet, but then reality hits. SpongeBob has to go to work. Gary, holding a leash in his mouth, gives the most heart-meltingly sad meow you've ever heard. He wants to go for a walk. He wants to spend time with his best friend, but SpongeBob can't. He has responsibilities. And as he walks to the Krusty Krab, the guilt starts to eat him alive. He says, "Poor little snail just wanted some fun time." I can only imagine the tortured loneliness he must be feeling right now. And this right here, this is where SpongeBob's perception completely detaches from reality. He pictures Gary staring at a blank wall, just completely heartbroken, wasting away in a pit of despair. But what's actually happening? The moment SpongeBob closes the door, Gary lassos a can of snail food, pops on a soda drinking hat, and kicks back to watch a cowboy show on TV. Gary is living his best life. He's independent, he's resourceful, he's totally fine. But SpongeBob doesn't know this. In his mind, he is a terrible, irresponsible pet owner who is causing his best friend immense psychological pain. This guilt gets worse at work. A customer comes in with a pet worm and says he can't leave it alone because it gets far too lonely and upset. That sentence validates his biggest fear. He immediately tries to call home. And when Gary, who is laughing his little snail head off at the TV, doesn't answer, SpongeBob spirals. He listens to his own voicemail, a cheerful message about him and Gary having fun together, and declares it a lie. "My outgoing message is a lie." He leaves a frantic message: "Just hang in there, Gary. Daddy'll be home soon." As if Gary is clinging to life by a thread. This isn't about Gary's well-being anymore. It's about soothing SpongeBob's own anxiety. But it gets so much crazier from here. Later that night, after a long shift, SpongeBob is finally heading home. He's exhausted, but his mind is still on Gary, and that's when he sees a father is giving his son a little pet nudibranch, a furry friend to keep you from feeling lonely. And for SpongeBob, it's like a light bulb goes off over his porous little head. Mayhap if I get Gary a pal he could play with, he won't be so lonely when I'm at work. It's the perfect solution, or so he thinks. He runs over to a mysterious vendor selling these strange, colorful creatures called Puffy Fluffs. He immediately picks out a little green one. Now, this is the point in the story where any rational person would hit the brakes. The vendor, a creepy-looking lady who has clearly seen some things, tries to warn him. "Beware, boy, this is no ordinary pet." SpongeBob is too excited to listen. She continues, "You must understand, these creatures can be very unstable, especially around other pets." She even shows a Puffy Fluff a picture of a cat, and it snarls viciously, so this is not a subtle warning. This is a giant, flashing neon red flag. And what does SpongeBob do? He snatches the creature, says, yeah, thanks, bye, and runs off without even paying. He is so blinded by his mission to solve the problem of his own guilt that he willfully ignores a direct warning about the danger he is about to bring into his home. The vendor just sighs, "Why bother? They never listen." And that line is the main idea for the entire episode. He arrives home all proud of himself and presents Puffy Fluffy to a rather indifferent Gary. From the moment SpongeBob's back is turned, we, the audience, see Fluffy for what he truly is. He drops the cute act and his face contorts into a monstrous snarl. This is the dynamic for the next several minutes of the episode. The moment SpongeBob is present, Fluffy is an angel. The moment he leaves, Fluffy is a demon, and poor Gary is caught in the middle. The first test comes with the food bowl. SpongeBob sets down a shared bowl, scolds Gary for not having manners, and tells them to share. As soon as SpongeBob is out of sight, Fluffy wolfs down the entire bowl and chases Gary away. When SpongeBob comes back, what does he see? He sees Gary cowering, and he interprets it not as fear, but as rudeness. "Gerald," he scolds. It is not nice to ignore new friends. He is already building a narrative in his head. Puffy Fluffy is good, and Gary is jealous. It escalates immediately. SpongeBob tries to get them to play with toys. Gary picks up a squeaky carrot, and when SpongeBob isn't looking, Fluffy rips it to shreds with a set of horrifyingly sharp teeth. The pieces land in SpongeBob's dinner. Gary, terrified, leaps onto SpongeBob's head for safety. And what is SpongeBob's reaction? He doesn't wonder why his normally calm pet is acting so panicked. He just gets angry. "Gary, what has gotten into you, boy?" He blames Gary for ruining his enchiladas and for refusing to show the least bit of respect for our new friend. Here is where the theme of neglect hits home and hurts so much. It's not just about forgetting to feed a pet or not taking it for a walk. It's about a complete and total failure to see, hear, and believe the one who is suffering. SpongeBob punishes Gary for being a victim. He sends him to bed early, forcing him to sleep right next to his tormentor. He even coos over how cute they look together, completely oblivious to the sheer terror in Gary's eyes. When Gary, in a last-ditch effort, escapes and meows in horror at SpongeBob's bedroom door, SpongeBob doesn't even consider that something might be wrong. He just gets annoyed, drags Gary back to the living room, points at the seemingly sleeping Fluffy, and says, "Puffy Fluffy is perfectly harmless." You'd think that would be the low point, right? Well, the sun goes down and Puffy Fluffy goes through, let's call it a growth spurt. Gary discovers that the cute little Fluffy was just a disguise, a shed skin. The real creature is a massive, multi-tongued, toothy green monster that is now rampaging through the house. The sound design, the dark lighting, the sheer scale of the monster. It turns SpongeBob's cozy pineapple home into a haunted house. Gary is running for his life. He's dodging attacks, fighting back with kitchen pans, and being chased through the library. The fireplace gets knocked over, which lights the room on fire. And where is SpongeBob during all of this? He's fast asleep, drooling and murmuring in his sleep. You're making meatballs, Grandma?" He is so detached from the reality of the situation that he perceives the smell of his library burning down as a pleasant dream about his grandma's cooking. He is literally and figuratively asleep while his loved one is fighting for his life against a monster SpongeBob brought into their home. Gary, being the hero he is, manages to put out the fire himself, but the night is far from over. The monster continues to destroy the house, shredding SpongeBob's clothes and books, with Gary barely escaping at every turn. But if you think that's the worst of SpongeBob's obliviousness, just wait until morning. SpongeBob wakes up to a scene of utter devastation. The ceiling is cracked, the galley door falls off its hinges, and his library is a wreck. A normal person might be alarmed, might wonder what catastrophic event occurred, but SpongeBob is not a normal person at this moment. He is a person committed to his delusion. He looks at the wreckage and his mind instantly finds the culprit. This was no random seaquake. Who could have done this? There was no one here except for Gary. He stomps downstairs, furious, ready to lay into Gary for being jealous. He finds the exercise room door locked and starts banging on it, yelling at Gary to open up. Inside, we see the giant puffy fluffy monster has Gary cornered, its multiple tongues extended, about to devour him whole. This should be the moment the blindfold comes off. SpongeBob kicks down the door, he sees the scene with his own two eyes, and he finally understands. Right? No. In what is arguably the single most frustrating and mind-boggling moment in the entire show, SpongeBob looks at the giant drooling monster about to eat his pet snail and yells, "Gary, you put Fluffy down right now! Bad boy Gary, bad!" He still thinks Gary is the aggressor. He thinks Gary is somehow bullying this house-sized behemoth. He walks right up to the monster, still scolding Gary, until one of its tongues snaps out and bites him. Even then, as the creature literally has him in its mouth, his brain can't quite process it. It's only then, with SpongeBob himself in danger, that Gary springs into action. He puts on his little cowboy hat, grabs his leash, and bravely lassos the monster's tongues, saving SpongeBob and chasing the beast out of the house for good. Gary saves the day. Gary saves his owner. Gary proves himself to be the hero. And after all that, after being terrorized, blamed, almost eaten, and saving SpongeBob's life, SpongeBob turns to him and asks, "Well, Gary, what do you have to say for yourself?" He still thinks Gary is the problem. The episode's ending is perhaps the cruelest part of all. SpongeBob learns nothing. His solution to the problem of Gary being lonely and now apparently destructive is to take him to work with him from now on. He's found a way to alleviate his own guilt while completely missing the point. The final shot is of Gary wearing a Krusty Krab hat being put to work as a free laborer by Mr. Krabs, looking utterly miserable. He survived a monster only to be forced into unpaid kitchen work. His owner ignored his terror, blamed him for his own abuse, and never once stopped to listen. The episode doesn't end with a lesson learned. It ends with the victim being punished further, and the neglectful owner patting himself on the back for a job well done. It's a dark, cynical, and brutally honest look at how even love and good intentions can't fix a problem if you refuse to open your eyes and see it. And if you want to see how SpongeBob's good intentions can go wrong in a completely different way, check out our video on the episode Stuck in the Ringer. It's a very different kind of disaster, but the lesson about listening to your friends is just as powerful. Because sometimes helping isn't about doing what you think is right, it's about actually hearing what someone needs. If you enjoyed this video and want to see me break down the SpongeBob episode about existential nihilism, click the video on the screen.